that's something I on my own journey realized, man. Sometimes I like the process more than the finished product was, which blows my mind because years ago I never thought that would actually be the case.
Sometimes we can idolize results, um, but results and idolizing that only leads to wanting more and more and more. So when you really love the process, you're truly like in that flow state, living in the moment, and you feel content. You don't always want more because you have this process right in front of you that you love.
I don't know, and I can't speak for you, but when you create a new song, are you excited for that next song, or are you better at enjoying the moment of once the song is complete?
Man, once the song's complete, like it's one of the best feelings to just listen to something you made and you're like, just it's like a newborn baby. It's like, man, I love this song. So we'll see how that goes.
Join me, Jeremy Swick, on Into the Unknown, a podcast that delves into the personal journeys, stories, and experiences of individuals across diverse professions. As a historian by trade, I firmly believe that our personal histories shape our present and offer valuable insights into our paths ahead. With that being said, let's get into it. On this episode of Into the Unknown, I am joined with a very special guest. Who are you, good sir?
What's up, man? It's CJ, otherwise known as via CJ. Glad to be here.
Hey man, I appreciate you being on the show, taking your time to talk with me today. I know you're always busy, man, so I know how that goes.
Yeah, man. Of course, man. You've been a long time supporter, man, and I've appreciated it so much. And this is literally like the least I could do, man. And thank you for having me. It's really my pleasure, man. I love doing stuff like this, and yeah.
It's great, man. I always like to kick off the show the importance of networking and how you know people. You never really know where you're going to meet people and how they might impact your life, whether it's listening to their music in your case, or of course I was listening to some Gary Vaynerchuk on the Gary V audio experience, and one of your songs was the outro, I guess, if you will. And I reached out and just wanted to let you know I was supported you. And it's kind of been a few years since, but it's been great, man.
Yeah, man, that's cool, man. Like, and dude, when I met you, I thought what you do is really cool too. Like, you were into the College Football Hall of Fame, and you were working over there. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa, this dude's like really interesting. So, checked out your profile, and I checked out some of the content you've been in, and like, you really know your stuff about college football and football in general. And I thought that was dope too. I was like, man, like, there's no way I'd be able to retain all that information when it comes to something like that. So, give you credit, man. That's dope.
I appreciate it, man. A lot of times my friends start rolling their eyes because I'll bring up some random fact that literally no one asked about, but it's sometimes I think it's just stuck in my brain and just needs to get out, be kind of that word vomit sometimes, and just let when the Pony Express was invented or something like that.
That's dope, man. Yo, hit me with a fact, man. Hit me with a fact.
So the fun fact about the Pony Express, they were created in 1860, and it really was short lived because the things like telegram and train just kind of caught up with the Pony Express, where they would run horses, to get mail and packages delivered quicker. You could also send children in the mail, interestingly enough, as long as you paid the
Crazy,
postage.
crazy. That's wild.
But man, so I like to also start the show off. Just kind of, I want to learn more about you. That comic book issue number one origin story. Who are you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first and foremost, man, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and He's my savior, so I always lead with that. Secondly, I'm just a dude who makes music and loves being creative, especially on the internet. How I kind of started. I'll kind of go. You want me to go back into like my childhood and then go like till now, or
Yeah, let's do it.
cool, cool. So yeah, as a child, grew up with my parents up in Connecticut, up in Watertown, Connecticut, and played baseball my whole life. Eventually, like sophomore year in high school, I transferred schools to Meriden, where I ended up moving to Meriden, Connecticut. Kind of had a fresh start in school. Was still playing baseball. Did the whole travel baseball thing. My whole goal, my whole life as a youngin was to play college baseball, and didn't really end up fulfilling that. I had an offer to play Division 3 baseball, which is not a scholarship; it's just Division 3. I just had an opportunity to be on a team in Massachusetts. But I had met my girlfriend, who is now my fiance, and she moved to Florida, and then we did long distance, and I could have either went to Massachusetts for 4 more years, played baseball, or just went straight down to Florida and moved with her. So I ended up choosing her and moved down to Florida. Before this, at this time, I was already making music for about 2 to 3 years, and yeah, man, just fell in love with the process. Like, I remember one day specifically where it all started. I was in New York City with my girl and my parents, and we were just walking around New York City, and I saw a Best Buy, and I was like, let's go in Best Buy. So we walk in, and I'm like, man, I wonder if they have any like microphones here or anything cool like that. And I was just into it. I was like, man, I would love to get a microphone. So I had the itch to make music, found the microphone, bought the microphone. Well, my parents bought it for me. Super, super blessed. Um, yeah, got the microphone, brought it home, and that night I probably played with it for hours and hours and hours, trying to figure out how to use it, figuring out what all the settings were and everything, and started making a couple songs. Got laughed at in school for the songs I made. They were trash, to be honest. Like, they were not good at all. But it was just me finding my lane and just finding, just being in my passion. um yeah, like they were like so cringe. Like, if I listen to them now, they're like so cringe. So I was actually listening to some of them today. That's crazy. With my friend Andrew, but kept sticking with the music thing. Took down all those songs from high school. Then I moved down to Florida, and when I moved down to Florida, I found this studio called Studio 18 in Orlando. Shout out to Studio 18. Shout out to Connor Smith. Shout out Ignacio Scanone. That's where I met my engineer, who I work with every single time to this day. His name is Ignacio. Call him Iggy. He's amazing. He really took my sound to the next level. Like, took it from hobbyist, and he took it to like that professional sounding level. So thank God for him. I went to the studio, made my first song. It was called Weapons. That song got like 500,000 streams across all platforms or something like that. And then I kept putting out songs. I put out Go Hard, which is a song that I had that was in Gary Vee's show. That song kind of went not viral, but it kind of got a little bit of motion. It got to like almost 2 million streams on Spotify. I was pretty excited. I was working it, I was getting playlists, and I was working it with creators and trying to put it in their music and just put in their videos, and just, trying to work the songs. And then, put out a string of a few more releases. But then I just had a turning point about 3, 4 years ago where, I was convicted in my heart, by God, to remove my secular songs from Spotify, Apple, YouTube, like remove them from anywhere online. And yeah, there's still some out there. You can find them that other people uploaded. But yeah, I just felt convicted to take down all my songs that had swears and, just secular themes. And not that there's anything wrong with, secular themes, but I think the cursing and it just wasn't a good look for me. And it just wasn't aligned with where my heart was. I wanted to be a good and faithful servant to my Lord and Savior, and um, keeping those songs up would not be in alignment with how I felt in my relationship with Christ. So that had a big effect on me. So I took down those songs. And then ever since then, I started putting out, you know, either Christian music or clean secular music that has inspiring themes. So, just positive music or Christian music. And the music's still dope, the music's still cool, it's still hard, it has like fire sounds, and it just consists of a different message now. And not every song is Jesus, 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 but it's positive, uplifting music. It's still relatable, and it's just aligned. The most important part is that it's aligned with my relationship of how Christ um of how I felt ordered to move. So I just was obedient and did that. And then I made my song Escape Plan, which kind of like was like, my reward for being obedient. My song Escape Plan ended up doing a couple million streams as like my first ever like Christian release. And it's not even really like Christian, it's more of like positive secular, no swears. Um, and yeah, bro, like that's kind of the story. I've been putting out Christian songs ever since. Some of them are more intimately and exclusively Christ centered and about my faith, but other songs that I have are relatable to the everyday person who just enjoys good music. So that's really where I am today, and yeah, man, it's been a fun ride. It's been my passion, and I'm super thankful to be able to do this, especially I have my setup right here, my mic's right here. I'm literally in my home office, and I can do music right from here, and I'm just super blessed to not need a label, not need a studio, not need anything, and just be able to plug in my stuff and make something, send it off for mix, get it back, and then put it on the internet and just see what happens, man. So that's really the gist of it.
CJ, I love that, man. What do you think got you interested in actually doing music yourself? I know you purchased the microphone, but I think everyone growing up listens to music in some capacity, but not everyone decides to make something out of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, my mom actually made music. Um, so my mom was in a band when she was younger. She was like a lead singer. She used to do gigs at like bars and stuff like that, way before I was born. But she told me all about it, and um, I just kind of took after her. And as a kid, we used to have these classes called specials in school, and one of our specials was music class. We had music class in school, and I just really enjoyed it. I had like a really passionate music teacher who rubbed off on me, and I was like, wow, like music's really cool. And I never really leaned into music because I was always scared and nervous to let anybody hear me sing or let anybody hear my music or anything. But like for example, I was in music class when I was about fifth grade, and my music teacher, we had a concert coming up in front of the whole school, and he was like, "Hey, you want to do a solo?" And I was like, "No," it's like not at all. So that was like, just me being shy, but that's kind of how I came into it. And then there was one moment though. I remember one moment where I felt insanely inspired was I was probably about 15, 16 years old, and we had gone to Six Flags, and there was a concert going on at Six Flags, and I was just like, man, like I want to be on stage one day. Like I want to have my own fans in like in a venue, and I want to be on stage, and I want to hear them shouting the lyrics. I know that's kind of self-serving and a little bit of can sound a little bit selfish, but it was just like a passionate moment. Like I got goosebumps. Like I feel the hairs on my skin standing up, and I was like, man, like this is what I feel that I'm meant to do. And I haven't really been on stage much. I've only performed like 3 4 times in my life in front of like 40 people or less. But I it's just kind of like how I got into like the music stuff. So and then I just started making songs from there.
That's great, man. On everyone's journey, make a decision. You can go east, you can go west. Can you give me a time you made a decision and just kind of went for it?
Yeah. So a time I just went for it was probably a time when I went to an open mic in Orlando at this place called it's now called Soundbar, but it used to be called I think Back Booth. I went there and I knew somebody there who ran the weekly like open mic thing, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drive an hour from where I live in Palm Bay. I'm gonna drive to Orlando, and I'm gonna perform in front of like 12 people. And I just went for it, and I just did it, and it wasn't perfect by any means, but just taking imperfect action is that's a theme that me and my partners like we always talk about that, and that was an example of just taking imperfect action and just stepping out there and getting it done.
I love that you mentioned imperfect action, man. It's one of those things you've already mentioned a couple times of being in love with the process. That's something I on my own journey realized, man. Sometimes I like the process more than the finished product was, which blows my mind because years ago I never thought that would actually be the case.
I mean, yeah, dude, that's a that's a great trait for you to have. Like I honestly want to embody that more myself, you know, like just loving the process. Sometimes we can idolize results, um but you know, results and idolizing that only leads to wanting more and more and more. So when you really love the process, you know, you're truly like in that flow state, living in the moment, and you feel content. You know, you don't always want more because you have this process right in front of you that you love.
I couldn't agree more, man. And I always tell people because a lot of people ask me, "Why'd you leave the Hall of Fame? That is a job you could have had for the rest of your life." And I know there are people who have done that, and that's amazing. But I remember the craziest thing, man. I had seen Georgia win their first national championship in 50 plus years. The confetti's going down, and I'm like, "All right, I'm done. I am ready for something new, whatever the next chapter might be." And it's one of those things that I think I don't know, and can't speak for you, but when you create a new song, are you excited for that next song, or are you better at enjoying the moment of once the song is complete?
Man, once the song's complete, like it's one of the best feelings to just listen to something you made and you're like, just it's like a newborn baby, you know. It's like, man, I love this song, and even if it's not my favorite song I've ever made, it's still like, wow, like I really enjoy listening to it. So yeah, like I'm definitely more leaning into, I'm not necessarily thinking about the next one. um yeah, so like after this I'm probably gonna you know, record a song right after this. So we'll see how that goes. So let me ask you, like,
Yes,
what
sir.
so at the Hall of Fame, did you meet like a lot of like star college football players?
It was the craziest thing, man. So I was also an intern at the Pro Football Hall of Fame back in 2016 and got to meet a ton of players, a ton of athletes, and I think it really helped me for my next chapter, whether I realized it at the time or not. You realize people of celebrity status, all that, they're pretty much people at the end of the day. We all put our pants
Right.
on, we all brush our teeth, we all have trials and tribulations, man. And so I think after the first couple times, it became normal in the sense of like I could just talk to them like they were people because at the end of the day, they are people. But I
Right.
always joke because for me still, and I don't get it as much anymore, but 90s Green Bay Packers players, I can still feel it inside me a little bit. Just, it's that little kid nostalgia. I'm fortunate I work with some of the 90s and 2000s Packers players on their podcasts with my company we create reels for them out of their podcasts. And it's one of those really cool experiences each time that I'm listening to Amon Green, who was my favorite running back, on his podcast, and then I'm clipping up and sending over the clips to him. And so I think it helped in the long run just being able to meet those players, not have that, I guess, fandom in the same sense, just because I was kind of working with them. I always laugh. I remember walking in the room with, Coach O, Nick Saban, and Dabo all sitting at a conference table, just joking around, laughing. And I walk in accidentally because I was doing something, say a quick 10 seconds conversation with them. And, after that, I saw them throughout the rest of the night. We were hosting the ESPN award shows at the time. And it was kind of cool because they gave you a little smirk and nod. And I was like, all right, you know, as a sports fan, that was always cool, man.
That's insane, dude. Like, I can't imagine. I can only imagine what it's like to be around legends like that. That's wild, dude.
It's a crazy experience, man, and I didn't do a good job at first at taking pictures, and it was because I was working. But then I realized how much other people enjoyed seeing me have that success. I knew some of my friends back home wouldn't be on the same journey. I've lived in 4 states and like 7, 8 cities at this point, and I've learned over the time a lot of people who supported me obviously weren't physically there with me, but kind of my wins were their wins too. So I started to try to, hey, let's grab a pic. It's cool to share with, and not in a boastful or bragful way, but just kind of, hey, this is really cool. I'm gonna remember this for a long time.
For sure. That's a bar right there, bro. My wins are their wins. It's a bar, man.
I love it, man. If I had any kind of musical talent, but you bring up a good point though. It was cool because one of the reasons I created this podcast was a chance to talk to people like you. And you mentioned your music teacher. I had my seventh grade social studies teacher on, and he was kind of the one who really fostered that love for history and to kind of give those roses when you have the opportunity to. It was just kind of incredible in that episode especially.
Yeah, giving those roses is huge, man. And yeah, dude, like if I had to, a certain person comes to mind when it comes to giving their roses. Well, a few people. One is my parents. They've always supported me when it comes to like my dreams and my faith, and they're of the same faith, and they've always just been there for me. They were just great parents, man. They always instilled confidence. They always, kept me in check, but always let me be me. And I just couldn't be more grateful to have them both in my life, to this day. And then another person who comes to mind is my business partner Cameron J. Barker, man. He owns a digital marketing agency and a software company down here in Palm Bay, Florida. And when I was 18, 19 years old, looking for my first first like job, my first legit career type job, like not just a dude at Home Depot, but like my first career type position. He took me in at IMG Complete, and which is the agency, and he just gave me so many opportunities to make money and learn, and I applied a lot of that money to my music, and that's how I was able to make music and promote my songs. And he's just helped so much when it comes to the music and the confidence and literally shaping and forming who I am as a person. He's my best friend. He's my brother. I'm sure he'll be my best man at my wedding. So he's somebody I want to give a lot of credit to. And yeah, man, there's been a few key people along the journey who I've just been able to meet, and I'm just super thankful. Guys like Steve O, Andrew Paul, Nick Dowdy, Nick Woods. There's just Tim Graves. There's just been a lot of people who have been impactful, and whether or not we still talk to this day is irrelevant. Most of them I do talk pretty much every day with, but um, there's just been seasons in life where they were in my life for a reason, and you know it's just been very evident that like they're in my life for a reason, and I've been able to benefit a lot just from those people being who they are. And I can only hope that I've rubbed off on other people the way that they have on me, man, because at the end of the day, like that's what it's about, man. It's not about material items, it's not about ego. Like at the end of the day, like kind of like Gary Vee says, man, like if your funeral's packed, like I want a lot of people at my funeral, man. Just want to leave this earth in a better place, in a better state than I found it, than I
I
came
love
into
that.
it.
I love that, man. Into the unknown, title of the podcast, man. What are you working on now? What do you got going on now?
Yeah, as far as what I got going on now, trying to get back into the swing of things. I took a couple months off for releasing music. I don't know when this will be released. Maybe I have a new song out by now. Check my profile. But yeah, right now my goal is to release a song a month. It's not like a huge, it's not a huge output, but it's a nice steady pace that I feel I can keep up with. So I'm just trying to release some music. Trying to, right now I have this platform called TeamVia, and it's on Grouped. So Grouped is a platform similar to Patreon, but it's more tailored specifically for artists. So it's grouped.com, Grouped. On Grouped, I try to drop a demo every single Tuesday for Team Via Tuesday, which is where I just drop like my creative ideas, man. Like whether I'm just starting a song or just finishing something that is not mixed or mastered, or even if I'm just freestyling an idea, it goes on Team Via, and yeah, man, it's just one of those things where I just keep my closest supporters, and I just feed them with content, music. It's been a little while since I've uploaded, so I'm definitely going to upload on there tomorrow. So I'm trying to work on corralling that community and just being a steward there. Um, just started a new business on the business side of things with my business partners, Andrew and Cameron. that's in the digital marketing side of things. So we're doing digital marketing, and I'll be transparent, man. We're doing digital marketing for roofers. That's gonna help me fund and feed not only my family but my music career. So that's in the works right now. Got a couple clients, and yeah, man, that's really what I'm working on right now.
Just keep building, man. I love that. So I do have one question. I was wondering, what is
Oh yeah, of course.
something? What are some things people don't understand about making a song? How easy or how difficult is it? I know you record, but then you send it after mixing. How long do you think a song would take you to get produced?
So I think to answer your first question, what most people don't know about making a song is that a song only takes as long to make as you want it or make it take. So, there have been songs that I've made in 10 minutes where I just turned on the mic and freestyled and just literally let the Holy Spirit flow through me, and whatever came out, came out. And those are some of my best songs. Escape Plan was a freestyle. My Soul was a freestyle. Those are my two top songs on Spotify. And I think the reason that those are the two top songs and people resonate with them so much is because they weren't scripted and formulated out on a paper. And it wasn't about all the, oh, I got to put this here and change this. Let's rework this. Like, there is a time and a place for all that scrutinizing every little detail. But, nah, man, I'm more of a free flower.
So if people want to learn more about you, where can they find you on social?
Yeah, if you want to learn more about me, I would say head over to my Instagram, at via_CJ. You can get me on TikTok at via CJ, YouTube via CJ, Twitter via_CJ, or X if you will. Yeah, dude. If you just Google via CJ, you'll see all my socials, and Spotify via CJ, Apple Music, Amazon, Google, all that good stuff. You can check me out there.
Make sure we have you linked in the show notes, man. I want to thank you again for, taking the time to talk with me today, man. It's just been cool to get to know you. I love what you're doing with the music and just kind of who you are as a person, man. It's been cool.
Dude, that means the world, man. I really appreciate you, man. I appreciate your kindness. I appreciate you having me on the podcast, and I appreciate your dedication to history, man. I think that that's really cool, and it's a very rare thing to see these days. And dude, I just think you're a great person too, and I think from all the conversations we've had, um, I can you can definitely consider you a friend, bro. So don't be a stranger. Reach out whenever you want. If you uh, if you want to hear some early music, let me know. I'll send you some songs, and yeah,
I
man.
love it, man. I love it, man. Hey, man, we'll stay in touch, and I look forward to releasing this episode and sharing even more of your story with people.
Appreciate you, brother.
That was another fun episode of Into the Unknown. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if it provides you any value or entertainment, I would love if you shared it with others, liked, subscribed, and really just help the podcast grow. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, just anyone who might enjoy hearing some stories of people's own journeys and what got them to where they are today. Till next time.